Hello, in this video we are going to take a look at Dropdown. So I'm sure you already know what a Dropdown is in the context of web design, web development, but if you don't, it's basically one of these. They can get a bit more complex than that just in terms of the way they look, but in terms of the base code, we'll be covering that and we'll be covering some extra features as well. But what I'll do is provide a link to this Bootstrap website which covers all the different features that you can implement into your drop down, and I'm going to cover a fair few of them, but if I cover all of them it'll be a really long video, and once you get the basics down you can easily have a look here and just get what you need, and a lot of it's just based on classes. Okay, so to implement a basic one is pretty simple. We need a div, and this will have a class of dropdown, and in here we need a button. I don't know why I put a question mark. Well, I accidentally pressed it. And this requires a few classes. The first is btn. Then we'll have a class for the style of it, and this essentially is this: primary, secondary, success, info, warning, or danger. And you just put btn, then these keywords, and these are the general sort of contextual colors, styles that you can implement in Bootstrap, and it's lowercase, by the way. And I'm going to be using the warning one. There, put dropdown dash toggle, and now I'm going to put type of button. I'm going to put data toggle, and this is going to just toggle a drop down, which we'll be implementing soon. Area dash expanded equals false, so by default it is not expanded, and most likely you won't want it to be, but you can make it if you want it. I'm gonna put the text of click me, and now we implement the drop down. So this is an unordered list with a class of drop down menu list item, and inside here we're going to have an ahref, and we're just going to put a hash, which basically doesn't change the the web page. It doesn't take you to another website or another page. You can make it go to a different website or a different page on your website. That's totally fine, but for the purpose of this front end video, that doesn't really matter. Okay, so we also want a class as well. So class, and the class is going to be dropdown dash item. And to close this off, and in here you put what the item is going to display in terms of the message, the text. I'm going to close this down, and that's it. So if you want more, you just duplicate it like so. Change the text here, and you can change the link as well. So if I refresh, I'll save there. I'm going to refresh here. There we go. There's that button. If you want to move it from the top, you can use the break rule, you can use margin padding, however you want. That's just styling. So if I click that, we get the drop down. And if I was to click one of these, it will do something, which at the moment just adds a hash here. But if you want to take it to a different page, you can do. The next type of button that I'm going to demonstrate is a split button. It's very similar. I'll just put a break rule, otherwise they'll be just touching, and one, I don't like them touching like that, and two, it's just easy to see that they are two different items. So for the split button, you also want a btn dash group, and the only real thing that we're going to be changing is we're going to have a second button. So we're going to have two buttons, and this is going to have a type button. We're going to have a class of btn. I put btn dash danger. It's good if you keep things consistent. And btn danger. I'm going to call this main button. And you'll see what this is in a second. And here, make sure I've got all the correct classes. And I need one more. This is Dropdown dash toggle dash split. So everything else is fine. You don't need this here because that click me text is basically what this is now. And what we will put is for screen reader. So we'll put a span which has a class of sr-only, so screen readers only, toggle dropdown. So if we refresh, we get this. It may look basically the same, but watch what happens when we click our original button. Watch what happens when I click it here. But now, watch what happens when I click this button. As you can see, it highlights separately. And if I click the drop down in the arrow part, the drop down comes and it's essentially attached to that. Whereas this doesn't initiate the drop down. So you can make that button, so you can put an ahref in here. You can make that go to a different page, and maybe this opens up this menu, and from here you can go to different pages or select different items. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to cover is sizing. So sizing. I'll use the original one. So there's 3 different sizes that you can implement. And let me put a break rule. If I copy that. Okay, where are we? Yes, this one. So for the sizing, where we've got the button, and you can put this in the split button as well, you just put btn-lg for large, btn-md for medium, and btn-sn for small. If I refresh, this is what we get. I needed just an extra break rule after the group. Okay, there we go. So the large is, obviously bigger. The medium is essentially the default one, and the small is a little smaller, but the functionality is exactly the same. So that's sizing. The next thing we're going to cover is arrow direction. So again, I'm going to grab hold of the original one. You can apply these features to any, drop down that you want, and you'll see that they're not just called drop downs. So if I save that, refresh, if I want this arrow here, instead of it pointing down, if I want it to point maybe right or left or up or down, you just put, instead of drop down, you put drop left or drop right or drop up, and it's pointing right now. And as you can see, it opened right. So that's arrow direction. And the one last set of features that I'm going to show you is, and I'll change this one back to drop down, is active and disabled states. So if I refresh, we get this button. If I click on it, I'm clicking this button by this item in the drop down, but I haven't let go of the mouse. That's active now. If you want one of them to constantly be active, all you do is you put active like so, and you can also make one of them or all of them or as many as you want. You can have as many as you want active and as many as you want disabled. So if I was to reload this, and there's no hash there, if I click that, if I was to click item 3, hash doesn't appear, so the actual functionality of that link is, of that button, nothing's happening. But whereas I click one of the others, the hash appears. That's basically what the ahref is navigating to. So there is the highlighted, the active one. So if you've selected something, you can make it active. So that's it. That's really all there is to know. There's a few other features such as menu alignment, which is pretty cool. There's few more menu, regarding the menu content, dividers as well. You just put divider class in a list item there. You can put it in forms, and you can also detect when it's being triggered, when it's being clicked via JavaScript, which is covered right here, and all the different methods are here. So feel free to have a look at the Dropdown official API guide. I will provide a link to this in the description. And as usual, if you have any questions, feel free to pop me a message, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.